I'm trying to tell you how I'm feeling, why I was upset earlier. Uh-huh. Sure, okay. Did you hear what I'm saying? Yeah, baby, yeah. He ain't heard a word you said. You done sat there and had a whole 15-minute conversation explaining why you upset, why you flipped out, all of that. He ain't heard nothing that you said. So you want to pick a good time to sit down and have a conversation about what it is you're thinking and you're feeling. You want to make sure that you're using active listening skills, and the person that is receiving what it is that you're saying, that they're using active listening skills. So you want to make sure that they're looking at you, and you stop every so often and you ask them, what did you hear me say? Can you repeat back to me what it is that you heard me say? Because that is a way for you to know for sure that, one, they heard you, two, they have some sort of understanding of what it is that you've said. If this conversation is truly important, you want to plan it, you want to practice it. So it might take you, think of it this way. A guy that's going to propose to his girlfriend, most often he stands in front of a mirror and thinks about what it is how that person makes him feel, and he practices the words that he wants to say, because this is a crucial and a pivotal part in both of their lives. And he wants to make sure that she doesn't tell him no, and she looks at him and says, we're creating a memory, and this is what you want to leave me with. So you want to practice what it is that you want to say, and you make sure that the way it comes across is not something that's going to be irritating or upsetting to the other person. If you find yourself anxious or angry, this would be a perfect time to go do something to distract yourself. For me, it would be adult coloring. I like coloring and coloring books. It's something about focusing on small things that's going to make something big. And it gives me the opportunity to kind of like numb my mind and just be and create. That's something that personally works for me. Other people, it might be shopping, it could be gardening. For some people, it could be baking. It's all about what works for you. When you've calmed yourself down and you feel like you can have this conversation, this would be a time to ask for what you want. They can either say yes or no. You need to be clear and direct in asking for your needs to be met. We often make the mistake of expecting people to just know what it is we want. You run into a lot of problems expecting people to read your mind. No matter how long you've known this person, how long you've worked with this person, how long you've been family, friends, whatever it is, expecting people to read your mind is an invitation to disaster, because most time people will come at you from a place of, well, this is what I would do in this situation. They put their bits and pieces of who they are into what they think you would want, and it's not necessarily what you would want. And because you haven't used your voice and you haven't clearly stated what it is that you do or you don't want, then you end up with a whole nother ball of wax you have to wade through and clear up. It's not fair to expect them to know what you want and need. You have to ask them directly. Be true to yourself. Be true to your feelings and your needs. As I said earlier, asking doesn't necessarily guarantee that your needs will be met. But remember, you still have the right to ask. So we spoke about using I statements when you communicate with others, your needs and your wants, and setting your personal boundaries. So I'd like to break down for you, and it takes some practice, but I guarantee you it is definitely worth using this tool. You would start off your I statement with, I am feeling whatever you're feeling. It could be, I'm feeling unappreciated because, and you would explain why you feel unappreciated. It could be, I went out of my way to drive you to the airport and you didn't say thank you. And I would like, that is when you can put your request in of your need being met. I would like you to acknowledge that my feelings are hurt and apologize. Our statements are something that I have learned to use quite a bit. And if you want further information on that, all you have to do is go to Google, type in I statements, and it'll give you a bunch of information. I'd like to discuss with you some of the benefits of assertive communication. I want you to first think about somebody who is assertive. Picture what you feel that looks like. You all pretty much know what someone that's passive-aggressive looks like. Passive-aggressive person is someone that doesn't necessarily want what it is that's being presented, but they go along to kind of get along. Assertive communication definitely promotes respect. A lot of times people don't have a lot of respect for people who are passive or demonstrate like doormat behavior. They respect people who stand up for themselves and ask for what they want or need while also respecting others. Assertiveness also increases self-respect because you feel good about yourself and you value your feelings and the needs of others rather than ignoring them. Assertive communication increases the chances of you getting your needs met. This might be your need to get more rest, or you need to explore other interests, or even you need to feel accepted and loved for who you are. Assertiveness also increases your relationship satisfaction because you are being true and creating balance in all of your relationships. Quality relationships take both people's needs into account. They aren't one person always taking and one person doing all of the giving. It's kind of lopsided, isn't it? Is one person's always giving, and the other person's always taking. Eventually what happens in that situation is the other person that is always giving gets exhausted and walks away. It's not easy when you're trying to change the dynamics of any of your relationships, when you are shifting from having poor personal boundaries to standing up and saying, I'm using my voice, I'm enforcing my personal boundaries. And how you react to that is not my responsibility, but I have a responsibility to myself to set these boundaries because I'm not cool with whatever it is that's not okay with you. It's about being true and authentic to yourself. Most people will understand your needs and treat you well, and they will respect the shift. Give them a chance to meet your needs, and if they can't, they can't deal with this new version of you, and you know what kind of relationship that you're dealing with, and move accordingly. Are there any questions on the information that I've shared so far?
I don't have any.
Okay. So for you, could you tell me what you think a healthy boundary looks like?
Oh, wow, yeah. The healthy boundary is definitely being assertive. It's definitely that. Above all, it's learning how to speak up for yourself and, advocating for yourself, letting people know what you like and what you don't like, and not holding anything back and not being afraid to speak. But sometimes you're going to be afraid to speak and say what you want to say, but say it even if you got to tremble. That's what I consider a healthy boundary, because I just came out of something with a lot of setting boundaries in that area. So tonight is on point for me.
Yeah, it's important that you definitely set boundaries with whoever it is that you are interacting with, whether it's a romantic relationship, family relationship, church members, because sometimes they can really overstep, co-workers, anybody that you interact with.
Oh, yes. And I think that's very important that we put out there that even in the church, you need to have personal boundaries even while you're in the church, because there's some things that you're just telling too much of to different people. And sometimes, people, how they will release a testimony prematurely, and then all of a sudden it sabotages it, and then they end up in a worse situation than what they were in. So if someone could please mute your phones, please. But, yes, I think that we need to speak more on that in the spiritual aspect. Do you have anything that you could add as far as the spiritual aspect of that?
The biggest thing for me is before I share anything, I pray about what it is that I share. And going back to what it is that you were saying as far as like releasing testimonies, because there are things that from time to time that God asks me to be transparent about. So in me doing that, I take the time to make sure that what I'm releasing is something that first he's led me to say, and two, like you said, that I'm releasing it in the right time. Because in talking with my dad, when he was here, he used to always tell me, make sure that you don't say certain things that you're working on till they are about to manifest. Because exactly what you were describing, when you prematurely, because you're excited, I've been guilty of it. When I'm excited about something that is getting ready to happen in my life, and I share it with somebody because I'm excited. And you would think that the person that you're telling it to is somebody